think the beauty of data or data in design is really how it allows us to validate design. We can quickly test different iterations or different design options and see which performs best. If you can get the data, I suppose it's the quantitative, so that's your environmental performance, so your materials and your, I suppose, the weather data and these kind of things. If you can get that data in, but then also get the qualitative data, then you get something that's more sustainable. Because it's very important to have both elements. And I personally believe that's one of the golden rules of designing with data, is to have it about the environment, but also about the people. I think the tricks really are, you learn by doing. So getting the data in at the early stage is the critical thing. I guess sometimes designers can be, they can kind of pursue the pretty building or the brilliant concept and then kind of handball it to the engineer to make sustainable. I think the architects should take ownership back a little bit because they're in early on. You've got a very small window of opportunity for sustainability, and if it's not implemented straight on as part of the drivers, then it's only going to react to whatever the main concept was. So getting it in early on is probably your number one trick, that kind of thing. And then making sure that you have both the environmental drivers as well as the social. Because if we talk about holistic sustainability, there's three elements. There's your triple bottom line of environment, social, and economic. The real challenge is being able to manage that data, being able to synthesize down all the volumes of it to find the data that actually is what you need, and being able to interpret that data. And I think you'll see, particularly in Asia, you'll see a lot of the innovation coming from the public as opposed to the private. And I think that's, again, maybe for governments and that kind of thing, that might be a bit of a challenge as well. But I think it's going to reach a critical mass. And I think you're just going to have a lot of private innovators that are going to help drive it. I see two massive changes, and I think this is not just pertinent to Asia, I think it's a global trend. The first one is with BIM and data. What's starting to happen now are programs like Dynamo and Grasshopper and Rhino, where we can do computational design, where we can input a series of parameters and get a resulting shape or form. Now, kind of taking the next step forward from that, and I reckon this will happen in the next 5 years, and it is starting to happen slightly, is where you can start to input, I suppose, sun path data. So exactly where the sun is going to be at every point of the year. The other thing is building wellness or well-being for occupants. They're starting to relate now to your traditional green building certification programs such as your Green Star or your LEED or your Green Mark. And that's going to be a massive game changer, because what that's going to focus on is actually creating these environments that people want to work in and live in or get educated in. And that's going to drive a massive social change.